Hello and thanks for being our guest today. It's the midweek and we're here for Homo Politicus on Enterprise TV. Of course, Homo Politicus is your friendly octopus that has its hand on every matter trending in the political space in our country. I'm Cyril Abaku, standing in for your regular host, Citizen Jones Osen. Okay then. Alleged sabotage. NUPENG and PENGASSAN seek Tinubu's intervention to save Dangote refinery. I hope you got that right. Alleged sabotage. NUPENG and PENGASSAN seek Tinubu's intervention to save Dangote refinery. Now, the cliche is often to say there is fire on the mountain, except that in this particular case, it's no small fire. You know, fires don't eat up mountains, but this is one situation that could snowball into that if nothing concrete is done. Now, the story is that the Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, and the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PENGASSAN, have written to President Bola Tinubu demanding a high-powered investigation into the allegation that the international oil companies, that is the IOCs, are indeed working at undermining and destabilizing the Dangote refinery and petrochemicals. Well, that's really big news. Now, the groups are saying that they want the findings of such an investigation to be made public compulsorily and to ensure transparency and maintain public trust. Need we remind you here that in late June, the Dangote refinery had cried out about intentionally obstructing the refinery's efforts to purchase local crude by inflating premium prices above market rates, compelling the refinery to import crude from distant countries like the United States, leading to significantly higher costs. Of course, the Dangote refinery was referring to the IOCs as doing all of these, basically leveling these allegations against them. It could be already said that this is one matter that, if not taken very carefully, could lead to a serious turmoil in the oil and gas space in the country. Let's have a conversation around this. My guests today, in no particular order, are Barrister Evans Ofeli. Evans Ofeli is an attorney at law. He also has very solid footprints in the oil and gas sector. Barrister, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
The other person is Mr. Akin Fatunke. Mr. Fatunke is a chartered accountant, but of course, he's also had a long career in oil and gas. You're welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Cyril.
Well, I mean, listening to what what NUPENG and PENGASSAN have had to say, calling for an investigation. One wonders, first of all, why the presidency had what Dangote refinery said in late June, and we had federal government come out and say that the refinery wasn't saying the truth. And now the unions in the sector are saying, let's have an investigation. Do you think this is the right call? Let me begin with you, Mr. Fatunke.
Thanks again. Having been in these world wars all through my career, I'm also very careful because there are quite a number of things that will never be shown out to the public, done under the table. You have to be able to unbundle which ones are the rumors, which ones are the alleged. I'm happy that we put it alleged, and then which ones are the real. But my primer tells me that where there is a smoke, there might also be fire. And what we are talking about goes over and above the manipulation that Mr. Dev Kumar, of course I know him personally, I must say, of Dangote refinery alleged or accused. Barrister Ofeli will bear me out. I think what happens is that in stuff like this with IOCs, there are IOCs and there are IOCs. I'll talk about my own type of IOC. Of course, there are antitrust laws.
But not to say from the get-go that the letter was misplaced. Was the letter a misplaced subject?
It's going to be very difficult without getting all the facts.
Okay.
Without getting all the facts. The labor unions are asking for investigation. Okay, so no problem. Let there be an investigation, but I don't want us to do a wild cast. Spend a lot of money over virtually nothing. I was talking about the antitrust and anti-competition. So who governs the antitrust and anti-competition other than government? Now, my fear, and what I fear all through my career, is that we have people who are manning the oil and gas that are not necessarily the best in terms of the capacity to and the full knowledge of how to. So I start by therefore saying that do we have a minister for oil and gas?
Well,
okay, if we have a minister for oil and gas, you know, we keep on reinforcing failures. As far as I'm concerned, Bola Tinubu, as president of Nigeria, of course, worked in oil and gas, does not make him an expert in oil and gas. I also say that, let's go back some 20 years ago, Obasanjo, soldier, apparently, strong man, not an expert in oil and gas. And all the other presidents that we've had are not experts in oil and gas. But down the line, people will begin to do a few things. Historically, when Dangote was going to come on board, I know we made a lot of noise at that time. And he said NNPC was going to buy some 20% stake. We couldn't understand, because by the time government begins to put their hands, some things might be opaque, some things might not be clear, and all that. And so if Dangote went all the way from Agbami, okay, got some crude from Agbami, and then it was not enough, naturally not enough, I had to go out there to go buy crude
from the US.
In the US. Who are the IOCs that will now be ganging together and then be fixing prices? And maybe, I mean, I left ExxonMobil in 2016, but the antitrust laws of America, even of Britain, is such that that is not feasible with the men. But maybe with the boys that are now roving around, these guys,
the possibility can't be ruled out.
You see, it can't be ruled out because, okay, now 20% stake. So NNPC is supposed to provide.
Yes.
Okay, under the JV arrangement. So if NNPC has provided their own, so how does that now involve?
And the NNPC is the Shell and Dangote. But let me come to you. The matter on the table appears to be a festering sore now, because the first time it came into the open was when Dangote Refineries uncharacteristically came to the open to accuse the IOCs. Government only faulted Dangote and then kept quiet. The IOCs didn't even say anything, as far as we remember. Now, it is unions in the sector who are now telling the federal government the least you could do is to have an investigation to establish whether Dangote is right or wrong. That way, you would have solved the problem. Do you see this call for investigation as the right call now?
Yes, I think there's nothing wrong with investigation. An allegation has been made.
Yes.
I mean, whether you like it or not, the next step after allegation is investigation to solidify or to find out whether or not the allegations were true and the rest of it. But directing it to the president, that letter, well, maybe because the president is the substantive minister for petroleum. Otherwise, the National Assembly Committee on Oil and Gas appears to be the appropriate authority to oversight that issue. Because the truth is, let's tell ourselves the truth. Dangote might be a private business, but the truth is that any effort to sabotage Dangote is an attempt to sabotage Nigeria in that sector, in the light of that sector, because it happens to be like the only national carrier apart from the NNPC. So, because our refineries are not working, so that's why I say apart from the NNPC. Maybe the NNPC oversee other issue and all that. So, investigation is critical, but I don't see the president putting up a formidable team for this, because there's a lot to deal with. The president has a lot to deal with, in my estimation. So let the National Assembly Committee on it do what they ought to do. But much more than that, we should also not forget that if you set up a refinery business, you must make sure that you do all within your capacity to run it and run it successfully, which will include if they are not IOCs are not selling to you, are they bound by law to sell to you? If they are not selling to you, should you wait for them forever, or should you go out like he has done, going out to other places, addressing this objectively? You understand? So Dangote is new in the field. That's the truth. Before the emergence of Dangote, the IOCs have their own way of operation, had their own buyer, had their own customer, had their own business structure, had their own everything. So if you are now in the field, and perhaps you know that capitalism comes with a lot of competition. So sometimes you see that when a business is a threat to the other, the one that exists before the other will begin to look for a way to have an edge over others. So it's what you call political economy. There's comparative advantage and all that. So, but the most important thing is that the federal government must help Dangote to succeed with policies. That is the truth. If this crude is from, if it means perhaps coming up with subsidiary agreement to add to the agreement they already have with the IOCs, to ensure that at least Dangote gets some considerable chunk of what it is that they get from Nigeria, is something to go by with. And Dangote is speaking out to is one good remedy. Okay, because now the PENGASSAN and the NUPENG, they have joined the fray. Say, these people, they are undermining Dangote. They are also not making provisions. They are making Dangote incur costs by going outside and doing all that. Federal government can, maybe this is an opportunity for them to come to terms with the existence of the Dangote refinery, okay, in the mix, and how that refinery can be managed alongside the IOCs, so that we can now, it should be geared towards the benefit of Nigerians at large.
Yeah. So, Barrister Feli, I hear you loud and clear, and let me bring this follow-up, right? As we speak in the studio right now, there are fuel queues lengthening in Lagos, lengthening in Abuja, and by every forecast, it was meant to have been that by now, not only would have Dangote refinery come on stream, it would also have been that by now, it would have largely solved the supply problem we have in the country. But that is not the case. And it doesn't seem to me that the Dangote refinery crisis or challenge is something government is looking at as a priority. It is taking the unions to write a letter, who should be ideally, disinterested, to write a letter to the presidency demanding action. Isn't government's passivity some sort of worry to you?
But government have shareholding in Dangote.
They do.
I mean, if you have a going concern where your investment is, and you are a serious government, should you go to bed when your shares are threatened? You shouldn't. There should be some level of business security around what Dangote has put up.
Yes.
It's not how many Nigerian citizens have license. There are many of them that have licenses, but they cannot start up to undertake. Dangote have capacity to even offtake the whole IOCs. If the whole IOCs drop their crude today, Dangote have the capacity to offtake everything. Okay, so if you have that kind of capacity, why waste capacity? One of the things that is in scarce value in the Nigeria is the inability of the refineries to work. Now you have one that can work effectively and efficiently, but it does not have the resources that it will use to operate. I would have thought that the federal government ought to have even introduced this investigation in the first place.
Yes.
Yes, because
yes.
it's like you have children, and they have gone to the beach, and because you don't have enough security, they have entered the waters, and you open your window and look at them from the windows. You see your children jumping into the ocean, and you close the window and go to bed. The moment you wake up, they will bring news to you that one of them have drowned. That's exactly what is going on.
No, but
So
you don't think the parent, if the child drowns, the parent should sue the management of the beach to court and say you are supposed to have, you are negligent, and that's why the child drowned.
You are suing as an aggrieved person already. Whether you sue or not makes no difference. You cannot bring the child back. That's what I'm saying. So,
the parent who would rather have the child drown to sue the management of the beach than for you to have jumped through the window to pragmatically save your child.
You should have looked to your own negligence first before you check that. Even in law of negligence, there's what we call contributory negligence.
Yes.
Where you had capacity to stop what was going on, and you feel it becomes a defense of the adverse party against you. That your window was right opposite the beach.
Yes.
And they saw you waving your children from there.
Let me come to Mr. Fatunke. We are, entering a bit of a moral side to the matter. The federal government ought to be doing more than it is doing right now, but we're not seeing enough action from them. Oil politics can be very dirty politics sometimes, and this looks like a political situation. But help us situate what government should be doing practically, and perhaps why it's not doing it. But what should government really be doing right now? What should be the government's first step immediately?
What? Very easy. President Bola Tinubu.
Sorry, while you're giving me the answer, I hope my producers can supply me some of the facts that the letter contains, so that we can also look at that. Yes, please go.
I need governance. I don't think I have the kind of governance that I feel comfortable with. It's always been that way. NNPC has been the referee, and then also playing and competing against IOCs, whether upstream and downstream, and it's not changing. So the first thing that I would like to see is for President Bola Tinubu to maturely step down as the Minister for Petroleum Resources.
Okay.
That's one. Two, it's going to send very good right signals.
Okay.
And give it to people who really
call technocrats,
who really understand and who have the moral capacity to be able to lead that industry. Okay. Secondly, I noticed that you plug up the upstream and then you are coming down to the downstream. You are beginning to see queues. We are going to see more queues because all of these things are somehow interwoven. We are supposed to have controls. We are going to have regulations. All what we are talking about, again, are the regulations working? If the policeman that you expect to come and catch a thief is the one that is behind, is the Alibaba, and the rest are doing 40 things. Look, I'm being serious here. Barrister Ofeli, I hear you. I am 10 with you. No matter how spurious or serious allegations should be, let's go investigate. But Barrister, I want to sound like a very bad man here. Go and let's do that investigation. You will never see anybody coming out being indicted, because the IOCs go check the way it is structured. So you have 60% holding there, 40% Nigerian. They will put a Nigerian who will now be the face
as the face of the
and that face and all that. Whether it's on gas flaring, whether it's local content, we have never been able to get it right. I also know, like you are implying, Barrister Ufeli, because you are taking. Yes, refinery business is manufacturing business. It's like any other business. I agree with you. It has always been that those who have colonized us, who are still economically colonizing us, will not want to open their eyes and allow where you can have a transfer pricing, and you can have all these things to just go free of charge. That is why the regulation is there.
Let me quickly.
And if those regulations are not working, who is at fault? I have problems because we have NNPCL. Is it properly structured? Do we have board of governors? Do we have it in the way Aramco and Petrobras is structured?
Yes.
Yes, I stop.
Yes.
So
the board of governors have not been constituted.
Even those that were attempted to be constituted, you have politicians. Now, in NNPC has a board of Barrister, please let me pause there. NNPC has a board chairman. We had a board chairman in a lady called the wife to the former Senate President, Okwadibu, and all that. Just all jobs for the boys. We know what we need to do. We need to regulate. Who says? Pastor, the same thing is happening with Airpeace. That, okay, Airpeace has now come. Well, of course, these guys want to gang together. And what did Nigerians do? Similar to what NUPENG and PENGASSAN are attempting to do now. I want investigation to be undertaken. It should not take 2-3 days. If it's lasting for more than 1 week, like Abacha said, the hands and the legs of snakes.
For the sake of
snakes and lizards are in there.
Thank you, very powerful.
I was saying, we've been told oil politics can be very dirty politics. But
it's dirty.
Yes,
do you know Dangote made that statement? He knew what he was saying.
Okay.
Oil politics. Do you know how many people have died? Do you know how many of my colleagues have been downed in plane? These are things I know. Do you know how many of our military that you say, okay, I want to be straight? They will tell you, you want to be straight? You won't come back.
Okay. But this will come to you. What the IOCs said, let me read, portions of their letter. They said they wanted legal action. And what did they really want? They said, should the allegations be substantiated, we expect the government to take decisive legal action against the entities involved. This must include sanctions, penalties, and any other measures necessary to deter future acts of economic sabotage. This sounds pretty much like a very stately speech. But yes,
it sounds legal action.
It sounds like a bad speech.
legal action.
Stately speech. I was saying
legal action between who and who. In law, you cannot sue or bring legal action without a cause of action. And the cause of action, you must also establish that the cause of action arose at a particular time and you are an aggrieved party. You understand? So in this case, a case of my choice not to sell to you or not to associate with you as much as you want, or not to have coercion with you as much as you want, cannot imply, cannot be a cause of action. You understand? If I did not greet my neighbors this morning and I pulled out of the compound and drove out, none of them can go to court to enforce anything. You understand? So there must be a cause of action. Maybe Dangote's property, rig, anything was destroyed by one of the IOCs, or the IOCs did not conduct their affairs very well, so it led to pollution, fire engulfed Dangote's whatever. The fire outbreak is not linked to. There's no way there's no time we were told that the IOC caused it, even though there was suspicion. Whatever. So you see, maybe the federal government is talking about sanction using the regulatory authorities, the regulatory bodies. Okay, but even sanction itself, you must encroach. There must be substantial non-compliance with
warrant,
with the PIA. Okay, before you can punish whoever it is you want to punish or whoever you want to sanction by law. So PENGASSAN, NUPENG, they are not party to the dispute.
They are not.
They are just concerned persons who feel perhaps federal government should undertake an investigation. But even if they conduct an investigation and it turned out to be that all the allegations Dangote had put out there were true, assuming but not conceding, those issues mentioned there, are they cause of action? They are not cause of action. So at the end of the day, there may be a roundtable gentleman agreement to resolve the business climate. Okay, that is the only way I see. And it will mean that in a large extent, parties will go into a certain partnership.
Okay.
And then have an amicable work condition.
Okay. Lastly, Mr. Fatunke, from a wealth of experience, I'd like to ask you this question that I will draw from yet another demand by NUPENG and PENGASSAN. They said the federal government should set up an independent panel to investigate the claims of sabotage by some IOCs. This investigation should be comprehensive and transparent, ensuring that all parties involved are held accountable. Keyword for me, independent panel. Specifically, how do you think that panel should be formed?
We've seen this movie before. I've seen it in my 30 years of operations in oil and gas. Sometimes it's all puff. The lawyer has, I hope PENGASSAN federal government will come and consult this gentleman, because even those, unfortunately I have to say, those who were manning our laws, let me be fair, I know that they knew how to go. They will direct you the other way, and so many things go on under the table, and they will misdirect. So if you are not careful,
but to form this panel, this independent panel,
panel, who is going to? I have just told you, Cyril. I'm not going to hide. I'm basing it on what I have seen.
Yes.
So you want to form an independent panel, you want to put a policeman there, you want to put a military man there, you put a policeman that you know his hands.
A retired Nigerian policeman.
I may be sounding the way I'm sounding based on experience. I haven't seen since the beginning of this democracy, in fact since 1960, I dare say. The laws are there. The way you should go are there. The operations integrity management are there. We all know how to do. But they plug a few Nigerians. They plug. And then they subvert the system because they are making returns back to powers that be. So I haven't said that. Yes.
Oh boy.
I haven't said that. Let's be a bit positive. Now, it may appear that PENGASSAN and NUPENG are quote unquote stupid. My dear brother is looking at it, saying, okay, let's do it. What they know and what they are trying to fight for is like the NSAS. The NSAS say, the police brutality and stuff like that. By the time you went deep in, you saw that it was a matter of governance generally. They know that the oil and gas is a cesspit of corruption. NNP is a cesspit of corruption. So let's start this little process. When that process now then begins to open cans of worms, MFLA started opening cans of worms, and in my language they say when the tabafagbo, that is pull an Iroko tree, the Iroko tree will shake the whole
forest,
and you may find situations where those at the helm of affairs presently, those heads of affairs outside, they have their hands and legs in there. So, look, independent should be as independent as possible.
Yes.
Left to me, that independence should come from not necessarily the APC as a government, but the opposition. Bring the opposition, bring the labor, bring technical people, bring forensics. Let everybody now then see that this is transparently pure and clear. Design Imadueke will not come to a conclusion because there are so many hands that are involved in there that by the time you want to open.
Even when you talk about the independent panel, the truth about the oil politics and oil business is that you can't go and bring somebody from education background. Or you go and bring somebody from carpentry to come and be a panelist. You will not understand what's going on. So they cannot be an independent panel It's still players in the field that you will get. And players in the field, you need to be really very lucky for you to find the ones that you can actually put their integrity to board and trust them.
I can mention 5 Nigerians. They will not even want to come in there because they are so scared. They knew how they lost some of their people. They will say to you that for me to be able to come in there, certain things must be condition precedent. Again, I go back. The president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria should not be the petroleum minister. It sounds as if it should not be.
That sounds like part of the problem.
It's fact, it's the problem. Who is it?
Because that office
who is the chairman of NNPC?
So there for 8 years.
So the chairman of NNPC and stuff like that. Again, okay, maybe that's technical. This government decided.
He has declared a state of emergency.
They decided that we are going to get. Listen, government bonds to universities, and my Papa Akonde is now the chairman of the governing board of University of Ibadan. You see, you begin to see things like that. You know, people are not serious. But that 80-something will now leave Isila in Osun State to be driving down to Ibadan, and you expect the educational sector to be in place. It's the same thing that we are talking about here. Tantita is there. When I mentioned that name now, because by the time you want to begin to do all those investigations, including the one that happened at Delta State lately, there are so many ugly things that are happening. And again,
then after the white paper, they'll go and dump it.
I will seek the indulgence to mention a name. Barrister Falana. Barrister Falana, I know for a long time, go back and check the records. He's been saying that, look, our production, how we shape these things, what do we really produce? He virtually was fighting everybody to a standstill in the oil and gas. Oil and gas that will be flaring, that what you have been making money. Definitely some people are sitting on it. Dangote knows what he's saying. So he's blowing the whistle. When you begin to blow the whistle, let government do what needs to be done. When government now begins to do what needs to be done, because we might not get into the Ruto Kekenya situation, look, everything is exposed. Whether you're a National Assembly, the National Assembly that you are talking about, look, everything is exposed.
Yes.
Say,
but
why must get it.
Why is PENGASSAN and NUPENG? Why are they so concerned about this?
And entering the field.
Yes. Why are they concerned about the Dangote saga of it? This same NUPENG and PENGASSAN, they are aware that the IOCs do not comply with environmental issues. All our environmental pollution, on water pollution, air pollution, all kinds of pollution. They don't see. It's only community associations that sue these IOCs, and they don't sue them in our courts again because they are too powerful. You know, I'm doing 2 cases now, one with against Chevron and one with against Ajib. Now, these people are too powerful that sometimes before you know what is going on, your case have been turned upside down. So these communities in the South, what they do is they go to America. There's one case I'll be filing very soon in San Remo against Chevron, okay, because you know when the IOCs, they are so powerful to the point where they have been able to suppress all our regulatory authorities. You understand? You know, the court is part of the regulatory authorities and suppress them in such a way that it's not looking good. But I'm saying, PENGASSAN, NUPENG, why Dangote? Why are they so concerned about the Dangote? How about the bigger issues? The bigger issues that have
bigger sector issues,
crippled from Ogoni to
Bayelsa,
Akwa Ibom, the villages that have been ripped apart and all that. Why is PENGASSAN and NUPENG? Why are they not concerned about that? Is it because they want business?
We are talking about that one, so let's come down. So we go upstairs later. All those ones that you are talking about. Why is PENGASSAN and NUPENG not talking about the inhuman nature of capacity development within the oil and gas, contract staffing, and all that,
casualization.
So again,
that really affects them.
Now
that's the one that really affects them.
So again, everybody don't want Dangote to go down. I expect, no matter how, let's open up that space.
Like
we are opening up CBN as a space. Like we should also be opening up the media. We should be looked at, a tech fund and educational. Let's get to the root of it. This should design what we have by way of policies, antitrust, anti-competition rules that must be gathered to the letter. What is the JV arrangement that we have with IOCs? What is the arrangement that we have with Dangote? Where are we now crossing the lines? So if you want to cross the lines, be careful. Because you want to cross the lines, you will be taken to court. Now, our production capacity, are we meeting the OPEC quota? We are not even meeting the OPEC.
That's why the declaration of emergency.
So, all these things are all convoluted, and the effect that it will have on you and I thought you said you saw long queues.
Yes.
You haven't seen train queues. Okay. Nigeria can do it. We can. But we must get those governance in place. We must be very, very open. And we must serve the interests of the people. And if we don't do that, Kenya Ruto is waiting at the door.
There's already a publication on the protest starting very soon. Somewhere I saw on the internet. So the government of Nigeria should do the needful. This thing was, NUPENG and PENGASSAN, they should also search themselves very well. The issues are more than Dangote. Maybe they should take their satellites so that it does not begin to look as if they've been mobilized.
Just before we end the show, there is this theory that Dangote refineries challenges are far from administrative. They are just purely political, and they are more than what meets the eye. I don't know if it's something that they're familiar with. About this, the institution is very strong. That what the refinery is going through isn't really all of this that we're talking about. Yeah, that it's purely political.
Yeah, the industry itself is one that is very challenging. You cannot have the refinery and not have political problem now. It's not. Because even the government of the day, you understand, we'll be looking at you like he's having problem now, he's crying. When we're trying to come into power, what did you do for us? I'm just telling you, I know some things, so some things that cannot be said on air, I know them. By virtue of my calling, my profession as a lawyer, I know the kind of information, we have information.
Yes.
So there is no way you will be at that level of business. See, oil and gas is number one when you talk about industrial issues in Nigeria. Okay, so there are a lot of interests. You understand? There are a lot of people for and against Dangote because his emergence is going to step on a lot of people's earnings. Those who are earning from the lack of refineries and the deficit of indigenous participation. There are people who are gaining heavily from the IOCs.
Yes.
Their existence here is a bliss to them, is wealth to them.
Yes.
So those set of persons would naturally respond negatively and oppose any indigenous oppression. It happens in the airline too. Alan Oyema, when he was crying, I said the UK government did not refuse to Heathrow. They gave me Gatwick and all that. When they dig deep into the investigation, they found out that some of our people, their hands are in it. You understand? So at the end of the day, there are people who don't want this country to move forward, okay? And because the way the country is benefits them, it feeds their greed and all that. So these are issues. You are not wrong when you said it's beyond
administrative and just legal. And
it's just that what we started from on this show is a necessary point.
Yes.
We'll start from the known.
Yes.
Now we have entered the unknown. That area, some people tag it spiritual because you don't know where the problems are coming from. But it's something he needs to deal with too. Yes. And part of dealing with it is speaking out as he did now, so that you're able to tame the demons that can be seen. Then have fellowship with the one that cannot be seen and look for how to put them at bay.
Oh boy. Mr. Fatunke, we even had insinuations that he has called them spirits and demons. Now that if he would be willing
no, they are principalities and powers.
Okay, good. So now we are really entering into spiritual matters.
Okay.
And that if you will be willing to seal some shares to them in the refinery, that perhaps there will be peace.
See, sometime around 2010, a gentleman came to Nigeria. When he came to Nigeria, we went to see Obasanjo. And when we got to Obasanjo, and the guy, then said, look, as far as we are concerned, ExxonMobil want to take up the refineries. And he came out and said, the refineries can only be sold for $1. You will remember this story. And then, of course, Labour PENGASSAN and all that now came back. And said, look, that the refineries are sitting on a bed of oil. Needs a lot of remediation. But what we are going to try and bring is our technical expertise. I can mention the person's name. Tillerson became
Rex
Tillerson. Okay, became the
chief of staff to the president.
Is chief of staff to the president? Or
President Trump, yes.
Okay, all right. He came to Nigeria. He went back. Obasanjo was going to toe the line. Yaradua came in, and the unions, and then they pulled the whole thing back. I know that some of the things you have.
Dangote too made an attempt to buy it off too.
Dangote and Otedola, they already paid.
Even this guy, Babalaki, I think at a point.
But Mobi made that thing first.
And their monies were returned to them. Like I said, we've seen movies like this before. I hope this time around we'll be able to get our acts together. One thing is sure. Like him or dislike him, calling me a monopolist and a oligopolist, somebody who has benefited from the state, he has not taken this money and gone to Switzerland, and then we are getting alerts like Abacha. We have these assets, all of us must come together, make sure we get the governance. For Dangote, I have no doubt that we have capacity. But the capacity will be so, like we said to Alain Oyema, it's not enough for you to say, look, it's national favor. Make sure you do what you need to do. Those scenarios. One of the scenarios that I expected, because that is how we do it back in the day, we'll do the what if. What if? Dangote knows the what ifs. Supposing somebody, a president now comes and then just wants to turn everything on. This is what you should do. This is what you should do. Now that you are saying that the IOCs are ganging against you, I used to work for ExxonMobil. Okay, maybe Chevron, maybe Texaco back in the day, maybe Chevron. We also have ways of talking and comparing.
Yes.
Almost invariably, because it's a see-page situation. When you are doing something that is wrong, and you tell me that you are French, well, I'm American, and we have a way of just saying, look, unless you comply, you can't do this to our people. One example would be when we started talking about the downstream. We saw all those things that kill people on the roads, all those trucks and stuff like that. You are not going to come from America and just ask us to go and just do anything. It's got to be the same standards. We did that. Others were not doing. We knew what we lost. In fact, part of the things we lost was the fact that we just closed shop and then left it for the boys, for the cowboys in the industry. We need people. Some of them are here in Nigeria. Some are outside Nigeria. They are Nigerians. They are having and they are taking a peep. Anytime they see a bit of a seriousness, they will come back and they are going to be the ones that will chase the bald heads out of them. It's not going to be Derek Omar alone that will always talking about it. We want to protect natural, certain assets and interests. I'm going to start from the top. Okay.
All right.
Pure and simple.
Now, so in taking this one, how do you close?
Yeah, the allegations are still lingering. Okay, it's left for the president now to decide what he wants to do. There is a petition on his table. What it means is that Dangote has done what he ought to do by voicing out, blowing a whistle, and then NUPENG and PENGASSAN have put forth letter before the petition before the president. If after the petition the president does not take any action, it will mean that perhaps there will be another allegation again, and that allegation will not be that the government supports what is going on.
Yes.
So let's have a panel of inquiries as independent as possible, as was the standard race, and let them do, not the type of Farouk Lawan type of where you now go and be calling the IOCs and telling them bring money so that we'll say you will hand and it's not in the Tino. So we'll have a clean investigation. When the reports are out, the reports should be implemented. Federal government should make recommendations, have meetings with the IOC. This particular area and the oil and gas sector is wide enough for everyone, as far as I'm concerned, except for people's greed. Then we can, abate exactly what is going on, knowing that if one of our own is in trouble and will look the other way, very soon, all of us will be in trouble, and the government will not be able to rescue all of us. So now that one of our own is in the murky waters, it is responsibility of government, knowing that Dangote is the highest employer of labor in Nigeria, not any of the IOCs. Is the highest employer of labor in Nigeria.
Single-handed.
Yes. We need to, at least give him enough support, if for nothing, for employing that huge capacity, of people who have dependents. And part of why our economy has been sustained is also because of him. And so the government need to support him. There's no doubt about that. Forget about whether he contributed to your election campaign or whatever it is. That is not the issue now. What is the issue is that your campaign, your election, those ones are gone. You have made it. Thank God you made it. But right now, sustenance is what is critical to economy than any other thing about the past.
Mr. Fatnik, how do you close?
Right now we have a chief samurai, and he's the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I have made my first recommendation. I normally would make that recommendation. He may kick me. He may kick me out of it. But he comes back, and that is the truth.
Yeah.
The president will come back and say, I've told him the truth. The second truth is, Mr. President, please let's leave politics out of this. I may be interested in you saying you want to come for second term. It's not a question of you coming for second term. It's the soul of this nation. And you know what the economy is saying. I'm happy that you have imbibed and attracted and brought in the likes of that to be part of your economic team. And the time when a member of your economic team is shouting, aching in my mind, to if Cardoso suddenly stands up, in spite of all the things that he's doing, and he's saying somebody is sabotaging me. Look, let's take that a bit